everybody. You get a rare treat today. You actually get to see my face. So like I've mentioned in other videos, I am getting ready for a show. So I thought I would share with you guys one of the other things that I do besides my painting, and that's soy candles. So I'm gonna be showing you some of the techniques, some of the things I do that other people don't do. They're probably more professional. Maybe their way's better. Check out their videos. Choose what works for you. I do soy candles. I've been doing them for over 10 years. And I like the way they burn. I like the way they smell. So I just wanted to share that with other people, and other people like it too. So I'm going to show you today how I make my soy candles. This isn't to say that this is going to work for you. Be sure to test. It's important to test your candles. So I'm going to pause you guys a lot today because there's a lot of waiting. Temperature, thermometers are involved. Scales, they want you to measure things. I haven't for years measured things. I've just poured them in a cup and did it, and it worked. But I did measure the other day, and so I'll tell you my findings as we're going along. But I'm gonna pause you right now, and I'm gonna move you down so you can see what I'm doing, because I'm gonna prepare some jars. I'm gonna show you my jars, and then we'll move on to getting the wax melted, and I'll show you some of my equipment. And so let's get started. All right, we got the camera moved. This is my equipment right here. These are the jars that I use, and I have tested them, and I've tested other jars. This is a Fry Daddy. I do use a Fry Daddy. So these are just 16-ounce mason jars, or ball jars, whatever you want to call them. They're wide mouth. The size of the opening on your jar is very important, because you'll notice that these jars right here, which are more expensive than these, have a much wider mouth opening. So, and the reason that that's important is because you have to have the right size wick. So I'm going to start out some of my supplies. These are the wicks I'm using. Some of my supplies are from Lone Star Candle. So I get my wicks there. I get my soy wax there. I get some of my fragrances there. And I have smaller mason jars that I get from them also. And warning labels that go on the bottom of your candle. You want to make sure you have warning labels. So I'm going to show you how to put the wicks, and how I put the wicks in the bottom of my candles. And like I said before, I have tested this size wick, which is an HTP 105, will burn evenly. It's all natural cotton coated with wax. It will burn the wax all the way to the edge of the candle, and that's what you want. So my glue gun has been heating up. It's ready to go. So what I do is I take a straw. I put my wick in the straw. I put glue on the bottom of the tab. And then I turn my jar over, and I try to find the middle of the jar and just press it on. Just like that. That one's ready to go. I got this wick here that I wasn't going to use because it's stained on the top, but that's not going to matter because we're going to cut it off. So I'm going to go ahead and use it anyways. So I put my wick in, put the glue on the bottom, find the center as best you can. That's it. I got 3 more here to do, and then we'll move on to getting my soy wax melted. All right, insert into the straw, and you don't have to have a hard plastic straw. You can use a straw from McDonald's, Burger King, doesn't matter. Just as long as it's long enough for you to get the wick bottom on the bottom of the jar. Just like that. And you don't have to make sure the whole thing's covered with wax or with glue. Just enough to make it stick. Just like that. And I do reuse my jars. When I'm done with a candle and it won't work anymore because it's burned, the wick has burned down to the tab, if it's still hot, I dump the wax out, and these glue tabs just pop right out. But you can also, if you have a candle you don't like, you can also put it in the oven at 200 degrees on a cookie sheet. Wait for it to melt. Once it has completely melted, you just dump it in the trash. And you want to make sure when you dump it in the trash that you don't dump it on anything that's going to melt. So if you have a cardboard container you're throwing away or something that's waterproof, dump the wax in that and throw it away. Okay, so I'm going to pause you guys. I'm going to move some stuff around, and then we'll get set up and get the wax over here melting. All right, guys, I'm back. I'm going to show you some of my equipment right now. This is a Fry Daddy, like I said before. You can use a double broiler on your stovetop. You can use the microwave. I don't like using the microwave. I like using this Fry Daddy. And because I can unplug it quickly and stop the heat pretty quickly. Another very important item to have, whoops, is a thermometer. So this is my thermometer. I've had it for years, probably 10 years. And I just stick it in my pot, and I put the temperature over someplace where you guys can't see it. I'm gonna put it here today. Hopefully it won't be in my way and you guys can see it. Let me check to see if you guys can see it. Looks like you can see it. Yes, okay. All right. So we're gonna start this heating up. I'm gonna add more wax to it. This is magnetic and it just goes into the side just like that. Super easy. All right, so this is starting to heat and I have to add more wax to it because there's not enough wax in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And where did my measuring cup go? Here it is. Okay, so this is a new bag of wax. This is how the wax comes. Usually it's not this big of chunks. Usually it's smaller chunks. But we're gonna go ahead, because it's not gonna hurt anything. Turn that light on so you guys can see. This is the same brand that I've used for years, so it'll be just fine. Now there is a line in here that you're not supposed to go over. I don't pay any attention to that because the line for the oil is basically for when you are using the Fry Daddy to fry. And we're not going to fry, we're just melting. And so you can see the temperature going up. And we're going to melt this wax. Okay, so this is a, I think it's silicone, it could just be plastic. But this is a ladle that I use. I just bought it at Wal Mart probably 10 years ago. I do have a kitchen scale if I need to use that. It's right here. I use measuring cups. If you watch any videos online, they will most likely use a metal container for their soy wax. I don't like metal containers because I can't see how much I'm putting in. And what they do is they put it on a scale and measure it. Well, I already know that 24 ounces of liquid wax is a pound. And it's consistent, it's never gonna change. So, and then I know that 32 ounces is a pound and a fourth, or a pound and 3/4. Almost 2 pounds. Sorry, you know my arm's probably in the way. I gotta get this going. Gotta get this mixing here. All right, so I just use a measuring cup. I got that from Wal Mart. I use these little anchor cups for measuring my fragrance. I got these at Wal Mart. These are metal. They wash off. No scent sticks to them. No problem. All right. I'm gonna add some more wax. It's melting pretty good. All right, I'm gonna have to pause you guys. I'll be right back. Okay, I think that was just a squirrel. Anyways, we'll just keep melting this. We're at 134. It's melting pretty good. I may have to add more wax to that because when I take my scoop out. So we're gonna add some more. And we want to get to 170, but not 180. I'm at 154, and I'm going to unplug my pot because everything needs to be melted when it gets up to the 170. And as you can see, it's not melted. And you start stirring, temperature goes down, which is fine because we can just plug it right back in a minute. All right, so today, fragrances. I am going to be using apple clove butter from Rustic Escentuals. This is a very yummy flavor. And I'm going to be using, I don't know if you can see that, Amish Quilt from Rustic Escentuals. These scents are both a very cinnamony, baked goods type scent. So it's very popular. All right, so you can see how much my temperature has gone down. So I am going to plug this back in so we can get it melted some more. And you need to keep stirring it, otherwise you'll burn it. We don't want to burn our wax. And you don't have to use a ladle. You could use a smaller type spoon, just as long as it's like silicone or something like that, so the heat from the wax doesn't travel up through the handle and you burn your fingers. Like I would never use this in here. So you're just going to keep stirring this to melt the wax. I may pause you here and come back when we're a little closer. All right, so we're at 4 147 degrees. And I have a little hair. Most of the time, if there's anything in your wax, it's going to settle to the bottom of the pot because I'm stirring it. It's floating to the top. And it's usually really hard to get. So we're just going to wait. Mackenzie, quiet please. 154, 56. I still have chunks that aren't melted. Should be okay. So I'm going to unplug this probably at 163, about there. And it's going to get there really fast, so yep. All right. So I just unplugged it again, and you'll watch the temperature is going to keep going up. And we will get to 170. If not, I'll plug it in again. Maybe we won't. There we go. And the more you go like this with your scoop, the more cool air that you get on it. Okay, so we're at 170 right now. We still have a chunk in here that isn't melted, but it's melting pretty fast. So we don't want it to go over 180. And it's coming right back down. So that's very good. So now it's just a waiting game again. We're gonna wait for it to cool off. Down to about, I don't know, maybe 160. Something you can do without waiting for it to cool off is you can take your glass measuring cup and run it under hot water to heat it up. And then you can put the hot wax in it and you shouldn't have a problem with it breaking or anything. Another thing that I wanted to tell you guys was make sure that you designate a washcloth for cleaning these up. And when you're done cleaning up, wash that washcloth right away because the fragrance and the wax will stick to it. Also, when you're washing things like these up, all these measuring cups, the spoons, and when you're cleaning up your jars that you've used before and want to reuse, use Dawn liquid soap because it cuts through the soy wax. You don't want that soy wax going down your drain without it being broke up by that Dawn dish soap. So we're still at 170. I'm going to continue to do this with the label, which will help cool it off. Okay, everybody, we are at 163. Like I said, you can warm up the bottom of your measuring cup if you're afraid it might break because of the heat from the wax. I'm not going to do that. So I've never had a problem before. Saying that, this could be a problem. I've never had a problem before. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer my melted wax into my measuring cup. And you're not going to be able to see this from up there. So once I have it in the measuring cups, I'll bring you down so you guys can see what I'm doing. Anyways, I'm going to be doing 32. I'll show you on this one. I'm going to be doing 32 ounces of wax, which is almost 2 pounds of liquid wax. So and if you don't have enough wax to do 2 big batches. I mean, you don't have to do 2 big batches. You can do any amount that you want. The way I figure my jars and how much wax I'm gonna do is my big jars that I showed you when I put the wicks in, my big mason jars. They are 16-ounce jars, but I don't fill them up to 16 ounces usually, unless I have enough wax. I'm gonna move my thermometer over to this cup so we can see the temperature. Okay, and then I'm gonna do this one. One thing you do want to remember is when you do different flavors, you want to have separate cups, you want to have separate spoons, you have to have separate measuring cups because you don't want the flavors to mix. So let's see if I have enough to do 32 in this one.
What are you doing? Wow.
And this wax is pretty safe when you don't have any fragrance in it. I've heard people say in their videos it's safe enough to eat, cook with. It is soy. I would never do that. So, to each his own is what I say. So I don't have quite enough for my 32. I have 24. I'm pretty sure I don't have enough to get up to 32. And you do have to get down level. I will bring you down. And that just put it over a little bit. So I didn't quite put enough wax. In my pot, so I'll have to do another batch, but these should pretty much be the same temperature. You want this to cool down. Well, it's probably as long as these don't have flavors in them, you can switch this back and forth to check the temperature. But once you put your fragrance in, you don't want to switch them. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to bring you down quick so you can see what I'm doing down here. So I'm going to pause you. All right. So here's what I have. I have 24 in this one. I have 32 in that one. These are my measuring cups right here. Ooh. Let's move that out of the way so you can see it. You see the ounces right there? So we're gonna do 1.5 ounces in this big one, and we're gonna do 1 ounce in the little in the 24. So I'm gonna take my apple clove butter, and I'm gonna try to prop you guys up so you can watch what I'm doing. Maybe not. So here's my ounces. Right there. Move you back. Okay, I'm back. I had to find a way to support you guys so I could do this. I can't do it one-handed. So you need to be able to see. We're gonna do 1.5 ounces. And this is the apple clove butter. And actually I'm gonna go over because, like I said, it's 1 3/4 pounds. So I want to do 1 ounce for each pound. So I'm gonna go a couple more drops, about right there. All right. So that's the apple clove butter. And we're gonna put that in this 32 ounce. And it says it's down to 120. So I'm gonna quickly check the other one. The other one says it's still up a little bit, which is good. Okay, now, because there's more liquid in here, this one's hotter. So I am gonna move the thermometer over to the other one because I'm putting fragrance in this one. And once I put fragrance in it, I can't switch the thermometer back and forth. So this is the apple clove butter. And it is an oil. And it may discolor my wax. Usually I would put coloring in for my candles, but I've stopped doing that because the color fades. You have to have a stabilizer or for a UV color stabilizer. And I don't want to put anything else in my candles besides the fragrance. I want to try to keep it as natural as possible. So I just decided to go without any color. So there's that. Now we have to wait again for the temperature to go down so we can pour it in the jars. And I'm going to pause you guys again so I can move my tripod so you guys can watch at eye level instead of up above. All right, we'll be back. Okay, I got you guys on a tripod beside me here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. This is very hot. This one has fragrance in it. This one does not. Just mixing it up because it's starting to get cool. You can tell. Down to 118, 120, something like that. So I'm going to put my Amish quilt in this one. I have a clean cup. I'm going to measure out, because I only have 24 ounces, I'm going to measure out 1 ounce. Mackenzie! Quiet, please. So, 1 ounce. There we go. You can see it's starting to get cloudy. That's because it's starting to cool off enough where it needs to be poured into the jars. And this one has less wax than this one. So it's at the right temperature right now where it does need to be poured. If you were going to add any coloring, you would have done that right after you got the fragrance in. All right, so I'm going to move this so we no longer need it. Actually, I'm going to pour this one first because it's cooling off faster. Because there's less wax in here. So I'm hoping you guys can see this. Let me check quick. See if you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, pretty much. I will move closer. All right. Here we go. Some people say that you should wait until it's about 105 degrees, and if you do that, it's going to have a top on it, a film on the top, and it's going to be, you're going to waste a lot of wax that way. So I don't do that. I usually don't wait this long to pour it. But I'm babysitting while I'm filming this video, so. All right, so I'm gonna stop right there. And these are 8 ounce, but I can get 10 ounces in them. I'm using the same wick because when it gets down here, it's the same size as these other jars. So. I'm making a candle.
Ocean. It's a beach.
Okay. And I'm using the spoon to help so we don't get air bubbles. And you want to pour slow. And those chunks won't matter, they'll just mix right in. And I'm not going to have enough to do another one. I only have 4 ounces left. And it's sticking to the side and the bottom. So what I may do is just leave this in here. I'm going to fill this up farther than I normally do. Get off of there. And I'm going to put a little bit more in this one. Right there. And then I'm going to leave the rest in here, and I'm going to make up some more because I need some more of these. And I'm going to quickly do this before it sets up anymore. I normally don't let it set up this much. So this is the apple clove butter. And you can tell it's still warmer than the other one. I should be able to get one of these big ones and hopefully 2 to 3 small ones. I hope you guys can see. Oh yeah, you can see. All right, so we're almost done. Sophie. I usually fill them up to about the bottom threads on these jars. There's the bottom thread on that one. There we go on that one. I have a little bit left, so I'm just going to mix it between these. I don't normally fill them this full, but all right. So I'm gonna put this in the sink with some hot soapy water. The last thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna support these wicks. So we just put this wick supporter on here. And you wanna find the middle, as close to the middle as you can. Even if you didn't get it in the middle when you put the wick in, you can still move it and put it in the middle of the jar. Hopefully you can see that. I'm gonna move that one. All right. I don't really like this holder, but I can't find the rest of mine, so. It doesn't matter if the wick has some of the wax coming off, because you're going to trim these wicks. So it'll be okay. All right, so we just want to make sure they're in the middle. And then I put them on a cooking rack so the air can get around them and in between them. And I will pause and show you that drying rack. Okay, so this is my drying rack. These are ones that I did before. Sorry, it's kind of dark over here, a little hard to see. But they've dried pretty good. One thing that you can do, and this is the finishing step, is you want to make sure you clean these up. You can see that has a drip down here. Hot soapy water, make sure you have your lid on it so water doesn't go inside. If you don't like those bumps on the top, let me bring this in so you can see it. It's kind of ripply, it's not smooth. You can take a torch. You want to be very careful because you could light the candle, but you just can melt the wax to make the tops smooth. And if you have holes from air bubbles, like this one has a hole right there, you can see it. You just melt the wax and it'll fill right in that hole. And I'm just melting the wax so it smooths out the tops. So you can already see on that one how nice and smooth the top is. And then we're gonna trim the wick and put your label on. Wait 24 hours until it's cured and light it. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see you later. Bye.